I think Tevez going to Juventus, what a coup that was for me. I mean,
on a head-to-head battle, Atletico Madrid can do more damage to Barcelona than the other way around.
Either he's really blind or he's fixing the match. I can't see it any other way.
I'm trying to get Sir Bob on my side here by saying City will win the Premier League.
it is an upset. You would expect Man United to go and win there.
Over $1 billion was paid in transfer fees between the clubs in Europe.
It's football. It's damn football. Like Ferguson said, football. Bloody marvellous.
Yeah, well, the celebration was, I can't believe I just scored against Mexico. At one point, Parma, I think it's only like 224 players under contract. Hey, they're going to throw me out of here, fellas. You're going to get me arrested on your show.
If you're a serious talent, you're going back and you're playing for Santos. You're going back to play for, like in Argentina, for River Plate or Boca Juniors, or you're going to Europe.
He looked like the Ryan Giggs of old. He was more creative than any player on the pitch. He made Mata look stupid. He made Rooney look silly.
Now, the Premier League is the most exciting league out there. I think it's probably the best marketed league without a question.
When you look at the draw for the Champions League, you kind of say, well, all the pieces kind of fell into place for everybody except City.
I am your host, Joe Usello. Sir Bob, Mike Orr. My co-host, Rob Rojas. My trusted co-host, Ben the Machine. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 95 of Low Limit Football on this October 26, 2015. I am your host, Joe Usello, and somewhat rested after a great podcast last night with the boys over at Two Daft Yanks, where we covered the close of the MLS season leading up into MLS playoffs. We talked about the matchups quickly, and we have a great guest for you tonight in Steven Caldwell, who is the Toronto FC. He was a former footballer for Toronto FC, former captain, and currently the director of corporate development for Maple Leaf Sports. Having him on in 15 minutes to discuss all the different MLS playoff matchups that we have coming up for you midweek and on the weekend. So a good week overall. I also want to send a quick shout out to the birthday boy from last week, Jeremy St. Louis, celebrating a birthday. So good friend of the show. Want to wish him a happy birthday. If we neglected to do that last week, I think his birthday was Tuesday though. So let's get that in there and make sure we wish Jeremy a happy birthday. Heading up to the other favorite Canadian on this show, Mike Orr. Mike, what's going on?
Not too much, Joe. Just looking forward to the MLS preview.
Yeah, we got a great guest, huh? No one better to break it out with than Steven himself.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, and heading out to the Badlands of Connecticut, because I live in them. Rob Rojas. Rob, what's going on?
Doing well, Joe, and I think as Mike just previously said, can't wait to speak about the MLS and heading into the playoffs.
I agree with you. So how's the new apartment?
That's great. I love it.
What do you mean a new apartment, though? You got your own place now?
No, it's just a new place, that's all.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Because I was going to say, you never mentioned you were getting your own place.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I think you would have mentioned that, so okay.
Yeah.
I get it now.
College boy soon enough, That's down the road, man. That ain't far away. So I see Zach so far in the chat, so I want to say hi to Zach. Thanks for coming in. You've got to be pretty excited about your Seattle Sounders heading into the playoffs here. So we're definitely going to get
a tough match.
Tough match for sure, but we're going to get a chance to talk about that. I mean, look, with 3 goals last night from Martins and Dempsey, I mean, you can't be too disappointed. I mean, it's the LA Galaxy, but you get those guys firing on all thrusters, and it'll be a good time, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. This might be the year that the Sounders surprise everyone and actually do it. We'll have to see what happens. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it back to you quickly because I know we want to discuss a couple of things in our opening thoughts. So I want to throw it over to you for the trivia question and get that off and rolling for everybody to listen to. So take it away.
All right. I am a non-European, and I have signed for the same Premier League club on 4 different occasions. I have also played in 3 different countries in Europe and played in a World Cup in my homeland. Who am I?
Wow. Non-European. Signed for the same English
Well,
club.
I think the homeland It's getting closer. How recent is this?
He's recent.
Okay.
Okay, and he played in a World
He
Cup
played for the same club 3 times.
Four times. I am a non-European
Non-European.
and have signed for the same English Premier League club on 4 different occasions.
Okay.
I have also played in 3 different countries in Europe and played in a World Cup in my homeland.
I'm stumped.
Hold on.
I am stumped.
Non-European.
And anyone who has the answer, send them to me privately. Don't put them in chat. And I'll let you know on Twitter back to you if they're right.
I'm writing down a name. I think I have one. I think. You know what? Give me a second. Give me 1 second here before we go.
Well, you actually probably got about an hour, Joe.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there's something about this question that does not scream South American to me.
Right.
So that's what I'm working on right now.
Well, you have to look at the last World Cups that were hosted. So.
Yep. No. That part's almost the easy part. It's just figuring out who the hell signed for their team 4 times.
Who would sign for their team 4 times? That's a weird thing to think about.
I think I've got it. I think I might actually have this one.
Yeah, I'm stumped.
2 weeks in a row.
I'm stumped.
I think actually if I get it 2 weeks in a row, we should probably close the show.
Yeah, we'll end trivia.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's
And it might spell the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, so definitely get your tinfoil hats out, that's for sure.
But I'll be fine.
So, all right, so there's your trivia, and we'll get the answer to that at the end of the show. I'm probably wrong, but I think I'm on the right path, unfortunately.
All right, I hope so.
All right, so with that in mind, let's head to our opening thoughts topic. And with opening thoughts, we kind of toyed around with a couple of different things to talk about. Some of the things we've talked about ad nauseum over the course of this show. So we're going to go with something not necessarily a little different, but something that I'd say is interesting. And keeping in mind the MLS theme that's going to happen with tonight's show, we're going to talk about our end-of-season awards for MLS. 3 awards in particular we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what Rob and I think are 2 of the layups, which are MLS MVP and Rookie of the Year. And then one that I think we're going to actually have a little bit of a discussion on, and that is going to be Coach of the Year. So I'm going to start out
I think that's the only one where you actually have probably different ideas, right?
Yeah, so yeah.
I would think.
So I'm going to lay out the 2 layups up there. And for MVP, barring, I don't know, I guess a drunken stupor by a voter, it's Sebastian Giovinco. I know up until probably, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kai Kamara was definitely in the discussion. And probably up until about 5 or 6 weeks ago, you probably thought Kaká was in the discussion as well, the season that he had for Orlando City. But certainly Giovinco did everything he needed to do to separate himself from the others. And I think Giovinco's definitely the one. So unless you guys have an argument, are we concurring on Giovinco?
yes.
Of course.
Okay. So good. Now that we got that out of the way, the next award that I want to talk about that I think is the absolute layup is the MLS Rookie of the Year. And for this one, I just want to call up his stats here real quick. He's actually 5th in the league overall. He scored more than any rookie has ever scored in their rookie season for MLS. And was once a guest on this show.
Well, at least I spoke to him.
Yeah, well, a roundabout guest on this show. So without further ado, Kyle Larin is certainly got to be it. I mean, 17 goals. He's only 5 goals behind Giovinco for the top goal scorer in the league, and this is done as a rookie. So any objections to Kyle Larin?
No. Mike?
Nope.
Nope. And of course, as a
Canadian.
As a Canadian, Mike, I think they actually throw you out of the country if you don't vote for him. So
yeah, well, it's deserved in this case.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. So I guess the only real quote unquote debate is Coach of the Year, And in this regard, Mike, I'm going to let you go first because you had actually mentioned it on last night's podcast with Corey and Chad, who your choice would be for Coach of the Year.
Well, up until about 6 weeks ago, for me it was a foregone conclusion. Then it got a little iffy, but the way they finished the season up and they were able to get the spot they were probably looking for, given the last run that they had, it's going to be Carl Robinson of Vancouver Whitecaps for me.
Right. Currently, and we're going to talk about Vancouver a little bit tonight, being that they did enough to get themselves the first round pass into the...
Right, and they finished 5th last year, just squeaked into the MLS playoffs because if you remember, only 5 teams made it last year.
That's right.
Got knocked out in the first game. Had 50 points last year. They didn't improve that much this year, but they did take it to 53 points. They had 4 more wins this season. They've scored more goals this season and gave up less goals this season. So that's an all-around improvement. Wasn't a huge improvement, but it was still improvement from last year. And that's why I'm picking him still as for this year's MLS Coach of the Year.
All right. So we have Carl Robinson as one vote for him. Rob, your selection, I know yours is a little bit of a mystery, as is mine to the three of us. But I'm going to throw it to you and give me your choice.
Well, I think that the manager that definitely has to give the most recognition is someone who no one expected to do well on this team, especially the surprise hiring of him. And it was Jesse Marsch of the New York Red Bulls.
The New York Red Bulls, sure. He took over a team that won the Supporters' Shield, and granted they didn't win MLS Cup last year, but they did bring home. Mike Pecky brought home hardware for that team for the first time in their history, and then they let him go. So Jesse Marsch does have big shoes to fill, and he's filled them.
Yep.
He's filled them by bringing that Supporters' Shield home again. Now it's going to be interesting to see if they can get further than the Eastern Conference Finals this time around. They do have advantage throughout the playoffs, so I think I think he's a good selection as well.
Absolutely, and if he wins this, I think that he definitely deserves the manto as most successful coach in team history.
Now, with that in mind, I don't know, and Mike, you might know this as well. Do they look at playoff results as part of that award, or is it strictly regular season? I thought it was strictly regular season.
I think it's strictly regular season, yeah.
Okay, so the it would be more deserved, Rob, I would say, if he does take them all the way to at least the final, if not win it all. Without a doubt, I don't think there would be a quote unquote argument, especially if they factor that into the equation. So, but certainly, up until this point, definitely a great choice in Jesse Marsch to possibly do that. So, you and I do have a different one, Rob. So my guy last year missed the playoffs and was rumored to actually be sacked or be on the hot seat to be sacked at the beginning of this season. Turned it around and got his team into the playoffs. Not only that, is level with your Carl Robinson, Mike, on points, and that is Caleb Porter over at the Portland Timbers. They're really, I believe, and I got to go back and look, but I think the only reason they don't get that second seed is probably from goal differential, and I'm just kind of scanning through real quick just to see if I can find that.
That's true. That's right.
Yeah, so it is goal differential on them. So
yeah.
and
last year they finished 1 point behind Vancouver. So
and they did.
There you go. It's pretty easy to see either one of them from our point of view.
Yep.
You could either one because we're kind of looking at it from the same lens.
Exactly. And the only thing that I have to back up my argument is for the Timbers to get into at the position that they're in with earning the home game against Sporting KC this week. They won 4 of their last 5 matches. They are next to Orlando City, the hottest team in MLS, although they will get to continue that streak, and Orlando will not, seeing that they missed by 5 points in the playoffs. So, any of these 3 are going to be a good choice. I don't think there's anybody that would fall in aside from them. Just one guy that I would consider, and I don't know where they finished last year. The coach at FC Dallas. Let's see. They finished 4th.
Dallas finished 4th last year.
Yep, 54 points. So they even improved 6 points over last year. Moving to 60 points. So there could be an argument made there, winning the Western Conference, tied for the Supporter Shield on points with New York Red Bull as well. So there's certainly an option to have, and I can't think of his name. His name is escaping me. I know he's a Spanish guy, and it's just it's going to absolutely kill me.
Oscar Pareja.
Thank you. That's right. So Oscar Pareja would also be another great choice. And the usual suspects, I think, they kind of flounder this year. The Siggy Schmidts, the Bruce Arenas of the world. Those guys.
You're not picking Frank Gallup for your coach of the year?
No, from
nowhere now. He got fired.
Yeah, I was going to say formerly
Chicago.
From Montreal. Oh yeah, that's right.
But he might have won a title with San Jose, right? When he was the coach, I think they won.
Yes, I believe so. But he had Donovan on that team, if I remember as well. So.
Canadian, but his coaching days seem to be beyond him now.
Yep. So joining us now on Low Limit Football, returning to us from formerly of Toronto FC and currently with Maple Leaf Sports, is Steven Caldwell. Steven, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us for a little while about the MLS playoffs. I'm going to jump right into it and hit my questions. I'm going to actually open with the first playoff matchup, which is Wednesday night at 7:30, and that's going to be DC United versus New England Revolution. This is a 4-5 matchup out of the Eastern Conference. Keeping in mind, New England last year made it all the way to the MLS Cup final, losing to the LA Galaxy in that match. When I was looking through these teams, although New England didn't really score goals in bunches, really the goals were scored. Most of it were scored in at the top two places in Columbus, New York Red Bull, and the Eastern Conference, and even Toronto FC scored a ton of goals at 58. They do have a very balanced attack. We have Charlie Davies, who scored 10 goals for them. Then you have three players that scored 7 goals each, in Juan Agudelo, Kellen Rowe, and Lee Nguyen. And Diego Fagundes, who's, everyone forgets, I think he's like 22, young guy. He actually mopped up with 6 goals as well. So they've really spread out that attack for the New England Revolution. So if I'm looking at this from DC United, what's the key to stopping that New England offense?
Well, I really like New England. I think they're a very accomplished side, like you said. They're very balanced and have a lot of flair players. And I do feel when they're playing well, they've got a pretty solid backline as well with CONCACAF and Farrell. So, they're a solid side, and I'm kind of surprised that they're in the 5th position. For me, they were probably one of the better teams in the division, and I felt that they may get the first or second spot a few weeks ago when they were in the hunt. So, I'm big supporters of their side. I do think they have some flair players in it, and I think that DC are on a little bit of a spiral right now. They're losing games, and they're actually losing quite heavily in a few games, obviously. Sunday being a prime example, where they lost 5-0 in Columbus, and what was a huge match for both teams. So you would have to fancy New England in this one, although, let's be honest, it's in DC, which is a huge plus side for them. I think in the playing game, it's very important that you have the home fixture, and if you can get your crowd and momentum behind you, then you always fancy the home side. So it's a real intriguing matchup. Like I say, I think New England will progress. I think DC are not really in very good form just now, and I think that New England have the players to really hurt them on the night.
How difficult, having experienced it, how difficult is it to play in that atmosphere in Washington?
It was very difficult. I've played there a few times, and it's a huge stadium, so it's a bit of a shame that it's not really that condensed atmosphere. But they can pack the lower bowl and hopefully get a good crowd behind them, and a fantastic surface. It's a real football playing surface, and I'm sure it'll be a good match. New England have some great football players too, and I think DC are a solid side as well. I really do. I think obviously they're not playing well just now. They're struggling a little bit, and they're conceding a bit too many goals at this point in the season, in my opinion. But I do like a lot of their players. They've had, for me, probably the best young goalkeeper in the league, in Bill Hamid. Solid back there, and Birnbaum, young and energetic, and fantastic prospect, and obviously Bobby Boswell, who's a solid veteran and has been there and done it, and they can come good. And at this point, all that's forgotten about the previous 34 games, and now it's about a knockout competition and who can rise to the occasion, and DC definitely have the potential to do that.
No. Now, the one thing for DC, the one glaring issue that I saw with them is the fact that their big acquisition during the season, who was Alvaro Saborio, only has 4 goals in limited action. I think he's only played 9 matches for them so far. What do they need to do to get Saborio scoring the way he was scoring prolifically at RSL?
Well, yeah, again, he played in a fantastic team at Real Salt Lake, and I do think he's came into a DC side that are struggling a little bit, so maybe that's got something to do with it. And he's been a little bit of a streaky striker in his career. I know he had a spell at Bristol, and he didn't do as well as they had hoped. They had spent a lot of money on him in the Championship, and he sort of failed, but credit to him, he came back, he ended up in MLS, and he was a prolific scorer and a very difficult man to play against, as I know. I've played against him a few times in MLS, and he's a real handful, physical, and like you said, he knows where the net is, so it's surprising to see him with little goals. Again, I reiterate that everything's to play for, everything changes now. It's a knockout period in our season, and it's all about who rises to the occasion, and he definitely has the attributes to do that, and I think he's a big game player, so he's going to be a real danger for New England on the night.
Mm-hmm. Certainly a tasty matchup to kick off the MLS Cup playoffs. So I'm going to send you over to Mike now. I know Mike is ready to preview the TFC Montreal Impact matchup, so Mike, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, Steven, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Good, thanks. I guess before I get to that game, I wanted to ask you what you thought about yesterday's format change of starting all the conference games at the same time.
I really enjoyed it. It's the way forward. Obviously, I've been used to that in the UK, where in the last day of the season, every division plays at the same time, and obviously it keeps things fair. And it's definitely a move forward for us. It's the right thing to do. I also quite like the fact that with the Supporters' Shield up for grabs, that they transferred the New York fixture. They were playing a team that had essentially nothing to play for, and it was the right thing to do to transfer that to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I think it worked fantastically well with everybody vying for position and places. It was a really exciting deadline day, and we promoted it correctly, and it was very exciting, and I think the TV viewing figures showed that.
Yeah, I agree. It was a massive success according to the TV ratings, and it actually provided quite a bit of drama yesterday, so that was good too.
Yeah, absolutely. The drama was there. We certainly with our game, we were well in control, and then unfortunately we let it slip. So that was a game that I was watching, and with Columbus routing DC, that was another huge victory and an exciting game for the viewers.
Right. I wanted to ask you, with yesterday's game having so much importance for some of the teams and not so much for other teams, but most of the games were important, who do you think gained the most yesterday?
Columbus, I think, gained the most in the Eastern Conference. I think that was a resounding victory without their top 2 strikers, Kai Kamara and Higuain. So that was an outstanding victory for them. They're a very dangerous side. Love Parkhurst at the back, experienced again, been there, done it. Fantastic fella and a real leader for that team. And I really like Finlay on the right-hand side. He has energy, he's youthful, he's a clever player, he chips in a few goals, and he does an all-out outstanding job for them, and Channy's been solid for them in the middle of the park. So, they're a very good side, and to have a victory like that on the final day when it was all to play for was a real confidence booster for them. I feel like they'll fancy themselves to win it. Red Bulls are strong, but I think Columbus are equally strong. But this point's all about momentum and who can get a big victory on Wednesday or Thursday and take that momentum and that confidence into the knockouts or the semi-final of the conferences and the knockout stages again to go forward. And every game now that you win and that you progress gives you that extra added incentive and confidence and togetherness to move forward.
No, I agree too that Columbus definitely gained the most yesterday, and I think they're a real dark horse out of the East this year. Just continuing with that line of thought, who do you think lost the most yesterday? Was it Toronto by losing home field?
Yeah, I certainly think we had a very hurtful day. We lost a lot. I think as an organisation, as a football club, a home game would have been huge for us. very disappointing not to receive that. Obviously San Jose, I felt like that was probably inevitable that they were going to just about miss out. Big win by KC against LA. I feel like LA lost a lot yesterday. They've kind of struggled a little this season. They are the reigning champions, and they're the team to beat as such, especially in this format, this knockout format. But that was a crushing defeat for them yesterday. Moved them down the placing and gives them a really tough playing game in Seattle, where they've definitely had Seattle's number in previous years and caused them a lot of hurt in the playoffs. So I'm sure Seattle will be well up for this, and with the home advantage out there to knock LA out. So there was I guess LA and us would be the two teams that are most hurt by yesterday. And the exciting thing from my point of view, being obviously a TFC fan and hoping that we do well, is that we still have it all to play for. We have a game that we can certainly win if we go out there with the right attitude and play like we did in that first half and not really let the performance slip. Then we know we can beat Montreal.
Okay, so I'll move to the game now itself. Without discussing players individually, which I'm sure you don't want to do, a big problem for TFC this year has been at center back. How can TFC go about to disguise this weakness, especially against Drogba on Thursday?
We have to get tighter to him. Obviously, we allowed him free a couple of times in the box, and it really cost us. And a guy of that quality, if he gets a yard of space, he's going to finish it. So, we have to remain very concentrate a great deal and remain very focused on the job, which is mainly him. Obviously, Piatti's an outstanding player, but he's more in a withdrawn position, either from the left or kind of in that hole, so he kind of floats around. And we also have to be aware of Dominic Aduro's pace. We know him very well. He played for us. He was a teammate of a lot of guys out there, and we know what he's capable of when he gets it right with his pace and his scoring ability. He can really cause problems. So they have attacking force, but what we have to try and do is control the game like we did in the first half. We were outstanding. We were the tempo was dictated by us. Benoit, Michael, Ozo had a very strong half. And we were allowing our top guys, mainly Seba, to get the ball at his feet in 1v1 situations and drive and create that magic that we know he's capable of, and obviously put one right in the plate for Big Josie to score. So, let's obviously we have struggled defensively, but let's play the game that we want to play, which is a possession-based game, and we can take the ball forward in their half and allow our defenders a breather to organise and to concentrate on the job in hand.
And I'm not sure, but is there any chance Perquis back?
No, I don't think so. He had quite a severe hamstring strain or tear, so I don't think he'll be back. But
is that him done for the season then?
No, I don't think so. I think that he has the potential to come back at any point. When you have such huge games on the line, it's obviously a great healer. He's doing everything he possibly can to get out there, and I'm not sure if Thursday's going to come too quickly, but let's see. It's an extra day, and it gives him that opportunity to recover. But with hamstring, you have to be very careful. Hopefully, we can win this game, and we're going to have 2 or possibly 5 more games. So he has that time to recover and be a part of this postseason.
But for sure, no chance on Thursday, but maybe in the semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, I like I say, I can't say for sure, but I would think that I was speaking to him a couple of weeks ago that Thursday might be too soon. But like I say, it's such a huge game, and I know he's healing very well. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, because he'd be a good man to be marking Drogba for sure. Let me ask you for Montreal. Oh, sorry, Steven. Let me ask you for Montreal to win. They must what? For Montreal to win. Yes.
For Montreal to win, they must again dictate the play, get it into Piatti's feet. He's their key man. I know Drogba scores the goals and has definitely galvanised their team and the club, but Piatti has to get the ball at his feet. If he gets space and time to control the game, then he can pick out Drogba in nice areas, and he can obviously use Aduro's speed and and Duca's trickery or Romero. So he's the key. We have to stop Piatti. We have to be physical with him. We have to deny him space. We have to make him defend. He's not very good at that. He allows the defensive midfielder too much time on the ball. He only wants to go forward. So he's pretty lazy in that regard, and we have to keep the ball, dictate the play, and make sure that we're very secure in our possession, because if we give it away sloppy, he's going to get space and time and cause us problems.
Yeah, I don't ever hope for a player to get hurt, but when Drogba went down yesterday, I was hoping he was hurt. I'm just saying.
I think most of Toronto was hoping he was hurt for at least a week, and he wouldn't have to play in the return game. He's been fantastic, a great signing for Montreal and the MLS, and credit to him. He's came here with the right attitude, and he's proved that no matter what age you are, when you've played at that level and you're committed to doing the right things and working hard for your team, that you can be successful whether you're 37 or 21.
Exactly. And I'll ask you the same question now. For Toronto to win, they must
dictate the play, control possession, play the game that suits us, which is a very much possession-based game, slow build-up. Michael and Benoit controlling, Ozil coming in off the left, and obviously get the ball to our special player, which is Sebastian Giovinco. When we get him in 1v1 situations, he's deadly. And usually when we go in the lead and teams start pushing forward and committing bodies, that's when he's unstoppable, because he gets space and 1v1 situations and can really put a team to the sword at that point.
Even sometimes 1v3, he's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, he's absolutely deadly. He can create something out of New York. Yeah, something out of nothing. You just think he's going to lose it, and he wriggles or makes a cut move and takes it past three guys, or takes three guys at the game with one pass, and he's our man. He's very, very special. He allows the other players space and time to express themselves as well, and he always chooses the right option. He's never too greedy. He never passes at the wrong time. He's a fantastic player, and we have to get the ball to him, like I say, in the right areas, the way that he likes it. The teams have been physical with him, which is absolutely the way to play him. Like, that's how we would play him if he was against us. So we have to accept that and try and get him the right kind of service where we know he can damage anybody in this league.
Okay, and before I give you over to Rob to get into the Western Conference games, can I get a prediction for you on Thursday's game, Montreal and Toronto?
2-0 Toronto.
Oh, I hope so. Thanks a lot, Stephen, and I'm going to send you over to Rob now.
You're welcome, Mike.
Hey, Steve, it's nice to have you back on the show.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me.
We had a discussion about a week or two ago regarding, just before I get to my question over the Seattle-LA game, regarding who do you think had more of a big impact in MLS? And Mike, if you can just correct me if I'm saying this wrong, who do you think had the best impact in MLS history regarding on-pitch performances? And we were regarding two names. It was Sebastian Giovinco or David Beckham. So who do you think out of those two had the biggest impact? And if it's not any of them, who is it?
And actually, just to clarify the question a bit, Stephen, it was who in the short term and the long term will have the biggest impact on the MLS? It doesn't just have to be on the pitch. Like, in terms of bringing eyes to the MLS, bringing scouts to the MLS, and opening the league up for players in the MLS to maybe be seen in Europe.
There's absolutely no doubt that David Beckham's had the biggest impact of anybody in terms of this league and the growth of this league and what was possible. When he came here, it was such a huge signing, and the impact that he's had, and we have to attribute a large amount of the growth to him, the way that people then followed him over here from Europe, and the way that the clubs and the sponsorship and everybody committed to this league because of him, in my opinion, was huge. On the field, obviously, David was at the latter stages of his career, and he still won trophies, which he did everywhere else he played, but I think he had far less impact than Giovinco. I think Giovinco is in his prime. I think his confidence is sky high. He probably had a little bit of dip and was down to see a little bit in Italy with his time at Juventus, and this move came at the right time for him, and he hit the ground running and believed anything was possible, and quite frankly proved that anything's possible for him in this league. So from a player point of view, I think he's on course to certainly be MVP and possibly the greatest player to ever play in this league. He's outstanding in every way. He plays a style that surprised me. I felt he was like a wider guy, small and obviously very skillful, but I didn't see him like leading a whole line himself and coming off the strikers. I didn't see him going in behind like he does. He's got the pace and the agility to go by people, but he's also got that pace to go in behind and cause problems. And obviously with 15 assists as well, he chooses the right pass at the right time and is absolutely complete. So, again, on the park, Giovinco, 100% overall what he brought, titles, belief, money, growth to this league. David Beckham, more than anybody else that's ever played in this league.
Yeah, of course. And knowing Giovinco, he could definitely be a MLS all-time great if he keeps up his consistent form. Do you see him in the Euros for Italy next summer?
Have I seen what, sorry?
Do you see him in the squad for Italy in the Euros?
Yeah, absolutely. The 2 games he played recently, he was outstanding off the bench. I felt he was a little disappointed not to start the second game, and I was hoping he was going to, but to come on after an hour and play a large chunk of that game and get another assist was superb. So I can't see why he won't be in the squad. I'm really looking forward to seeing him and Pella from Southampton play together. I think they're a great partnership, little and large. I always like the partnerships. I guess I'm very English like that, but I think they'll be a fantastic partnership, and I think Italy could be real dark horses for the Euro 2016 crown.
I know Joe is probably smiling to himself from hearing that.
I'm quietly enjoying it. That's all.
And just my last question before I pass over to the guys. I want to preview the obviously the match of the knockout rounds in the MLS Cup playoffs, and that's 5th place LA Galaxy, the defending champions, and the Seattle Sounders. Obviously, they're playing in front of a home crowd at CenturyLink Field. The pressure has to be on Seattle, but it's also a match of, I guess, talents. You have Dempsey taking on players like Steven Gerrard, Robbie Keane, Jazzy Sardes, and much more. So I just want your take on this whole match, and what do you think is going to be the outcome?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's going to be an outstanding match. I think the crowd's going to be, upwards to 50,000, I'm sure, possibly more. I think they'll open the top tier for this game, and I think Seattle will be really up for it. The LA have caused them a lot of hurt in the last few years in the playoffs, and I think having the one-off home game at CenturyLink Field will be massive for them. I think Seattle are in good form. They've picked up. They were on a little bit of sticky patch, sort of early second half of the season, but I think they've picked up. I think Valdez has been a great DP signing, and their top 2 guys are probably the best partnership in the league for me. LA have got their work cut out, but let's not forget LA are the reigning champions. Robbie Keane, another outstanding season. Just Father Time never seems to catch up with him. His energy and his finishing ability is second to none. He's outstanding, and Jared and the supporting cast that comes with that are all very able players to go in and win this cup yet again. Never mind win on Wednesday night or Thursday night when they go to Seattle. So it's going to be an intriguing match, and I'm very much looking forward to watching it.
Have you got a winner?
This is the toughest one for me to choose. I sort of changed my opinion a lot, but I still think LA will get it done. I just got a feeling that they'll come good when it really matters, and there'll be a real challenge. If they win this, I really feel that they're the favourites to win the MLS Cup again.
Yeah, definitely. But you look at how much the path they have to go to. It's going to be much harder. That's for sure. And
it's going to be tough for them. Yeah, absolutely.
And just my last question before I pass it over to the guys, and I want to talk about your native Scotland. Obviously, they failed to qualify for the European Championships for 2016, having been in a tough group with Germany, Ireland, and Poland as well, among others. So what do you think is the future for this side heading into World Cup qualification?
Yeah, I think the future is very strong. Obviously, it's getting more and more difficult to qualify for major tournaments. This was a great opportunity for us. We had put ourselves in a fantastic situation where, it was kind of in our hands, and we had two really bad results. Georgia away, especially bad. It's a game we have to win if we want to qualify for the Euros, and we obviously failed. We never really had a great performance on the night. We were pretty static and didn't create too much, and then I felt that we were very negative and defensive against Germany, and obviously against an outstanding team, but well beaten on the night. Although it was 3-2, we were comfortably beaten on the night, and they were the two crucial games. But I reiterate that I think we are the perfect man in Gordon Strachan to take us forward. He's absolutely the right man for this job, and the improvement that we've seen with him and that we will continue to see will be huge, I think, and we give ourselves a great chance. Although it's more difficult to qualify for the World Cup with less places up for grabs, I do think we're going to have a great opportunity to do so.
Absolutely, and let's hope that they do have a good performance heading into the qualifiers to Russia. Stephen, I really want to thank you for coming on the show. Once again, you've been great as always, and I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Stephen, my last charge is the final matchup of the knockout round matches this week, and that is the number 3 Portland Timbers facing Sporting KC, who is number 6 in the Western Conference. It's a Thursday night 10 p.m. matchup. Just doing my quick little homework on this, the one glaring fact for me is Portland's attack is very one-sided. When I had asked you about New England, they tend to spread it out. But Portland is very one-sided. Fernando Adi scored 16 goals for them so far this season. Second on the team is Darlington Nagbe with only 5 goals, and Urrudi's only scored 4 goals. Can they get production out of somebody other than Adi to take them over the top and beat Sporting KC?
Yeah, they're going to have to. I mean, they're obviously a very different team. Their supporting cast is strong, but they don't really chip in the goals. They expect the one main striker to finish off the opportunities that they supply. Darlington Nagbe is a player I really like. Fantastic provider. Not really a great guy at grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and sort of scoring himself. So, like I say, the onus is on Adi. Valeri, I'm not sure if Valeri's fit, but if he is, then another player that I really like in this league, and Diego Chara sort of marshalling the midfield and being that defensive linchpin back there. One of the best in the league at that, in my opinion. So, real dangerous side, Portland. KC again are solid and there every year. Perennial candidates, thanks to the tutelage of Peter Vermeer, outstanding manager, and has been for a number of years, and obviously they know how to win it in the last few years. So again, another very difficult matchup to pick the winner from. Again, I reiterate, home importance is so crucial at this point. I think Portland will do it because they're in their stadium. If it was in KC, I'd probably pick KC. It's that crucial. Two fantastic places to play football and great support. So I have to just pick for Portland, having the home tie.
Okay. Now, on the other side of the ball, with Sporting KC, they've kind of found the back door into the playoffs, just squeaking by San Jose to pick up that 6th spot. They'd only won 2 of their last 6 matches, although granted, they did beat the LA Galaxy on the last match of the season to get into the playoffs. But I looked back on Sporting's season, and they haven't always been this, I guess, quote-unquote bad. They were in a stretch from May 29th to August 15th, so a month and a half, where they went 7 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in 10 matches. They were absolutely dominant over a 10-game stretch in the middle of this season. What do they need to do to return to that mid-season form, and can they return to that form in time to advance deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, they absolutely can return to that form. They've been there and done it before. They played us at Beamerfield, I think probably in that run actually, maybe July, August, and they were magnificent on the day. Real solid unit and difficult team to play against. They know what they're good at, and they stick to that. They're very disciplined in how they play, and they have touches of quality, obviously, all around the park. Benny, Phil Huber, incredible player. Susie, very dangerous off the flank, and Dom Dwyer, who's a good striker in this league, scored goals. Majority of seasons he's been in this league, and if you give him the opportunity, he's proved that he'll continue to do that. So, yeah, a dangerous team. If Portland aren't on guard and allow them opportunities to get their flair guys in the game, then they'll cause them problems. I could actually see some goals in this game for some reason. I think that this might be a high-scoring game. And like I say, the only thing that makes me go for Portland is the fact that it's at Providence Park and they'll have that home crowd behind them.
Out of the 4 matchups we're looking at in this first round of the playoffs, which park is the toughest to play at? Is it DC? I believe DC, Seattle, Portland, or Montreal?
I would probably go for Portland. Fantastic support. They'll be in there right at the start. They'll be singing the anthem. They'll be, causing a great atmosphere. The flags will be waving, and that'll be an extremely difficult game for KC. And I do think that we have a very difficult matchup with Toronto. It's a local derby, and Montreal love beating us, so they're going to have that place packed, and it'll be a great atmosphere. And it's up to us to focus and to kill that atmosphere as quickly as we can by hopefully scoring a goal, but at least possessing the ball and keeping it from Montreal, frustrating them and silencing the crowd like we did last night for the first 45 minutes, and being ready at any moment when they get an opportunity or they up the tempo to combat that and fight against that and show that we aren't willing to wilt and die. And once we make that clear, then I think that we have more quality and we'll win the game.
Mm-hmm. My last question of the night before we let you go, and again, thanks for joining us. We had discussed in our opening thoughts about the postseason awards for MLS, more specifically MLS MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Coach of the Year. And we were in unanimous choice of Sebastian Giovinco as the Player of the Year. We were in unanimous choice of Kyle Larin as the Rookie of the Year. But we all three of us had 3 different head coaches for Head Coach of the Year. So I'd like your opinion as who you think would be the coach that would win that award this year.
Well, I think Jesse Marsh. Very difficult decision to make. Again, Greg Berhalter has had an outstanding season. I think Peter Vermees has been incredible too, to move to the West and to, I know, just get in the end, but it's such a tight, difficult division, and to basically kind of build another team and go again was outstanding work from him. But Jesse Marsh to come into New York, losing Thierry Henry, Osman, the DP, the guy that everybody said made them tick, and to go with a bunch of what were they calling them? Just sort of, moderate looking players, guys that no real star, no real stand.
And I think we lost. I think we lost Steven there. So hopefully we'll get him to call back quickly. Mike and Rob, I want to make sure I have both of you still.
Yep.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So it looks like his phone just dropped off there for a second. Let's see if we can get him back on the call here and reconnect him. Okay, let's see if we can get him here.
Voicemail box of
Steven Caldwell.
All right, let's see if we can get him to call back in here. So hopefully Steven will be able to connect with us here in a second, and we'll get him back. So I did want to finish that particular thought. So Steven, do we have you back?
I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. I must have had a bad reception or something and lost the signal. Yeah, I was saying Jesse Marsh. Yeah, he's been outstanding. A team with no real star, but some real quality players and dangerous guys, and to set in the style that he has, and to have them playing that high press game and being a real team unit was full credit to him, and he's my manager of the year.
Yeah, for the record, Rob had Jesse Marsh pegged as the coach of the year. Mike had Carl Robinson, and I had Caleb Porter over at Portland for the work that he did there this year. So I think the manager of the year race is certainly a much tighter one than the other two. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think it'll depend on what happens in the next few weeks. I think that all the guys have a real right to be a manager of the year. Carl Robinson, a great friend of mine. I played with him at Sunderland, and I still keep in contact with him. Absolutely outstanding year to finish second with the squad that he has, and young guys, and really thriving under his coaching. Been magnificent. So I think it's going to be all to play for, and I think one of these guys will just step out above the rest and prove that he's manager of the year by having a successful run, maybe MLS Cup champion, and move into that next category and take the award.
Right. I'm going to send you back over to Mike. I know Mike has one more question for you, so before we let you go, I'll send it back to Mike.
Hi, Steven. Thanks again. I wanted to ask you about one more manager you're familiar with in the English Division 1, your brother Gary at Wigan. He's doing a great job so far this season. They're in the playoff position, and I'm just you must be proud of him. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on Wigan and your brother's job so far?
Yeah, I'm really proud of him. He's been fantastic. It's always difficult to step into your first job and have to deal with all the different things that come with managing a modern day team these days. It's not just about stepping out with your boots on the pitch to coach the guys. It's more to it than that, and he's been absolutely brilliant. They had a little bit of a slow start, but he still believes, and he coached the lads and gave them confidence to keep passing the ball. And thankfully, in the last 8 or 9 games, I think they're 8 or 9 unbeaten. They've been outstanding. They've climbed up the league. They've won 3 or 4 and drew a few, but they're not quite the finished article, but they're on the right road, and I do think that he's had a big month. He's turned a corner with them, and I think they'll go from strength to strength now.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you about that. We're going to keep our eye on Wigan here this year, and all the best to Gary.
Great, thank you very much.
All right. So, Stephen, again, thank you again for coming on and joining us tonight. We always enjoy having you on the show. And definitely good luck to Toronto FC. I did pick them to win MLS Cup this year at the beginning of the season. So anything you can do to help those lads out to win and make my prediction correct, I would really appreciate it.
Well, I hope you're right. And thank you for having me again, guys. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Have a good
Thanks
night.
a lot, Stephen. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. And that was Steven Caldwell. Fantastic to have him on the show. I do like the fact that he said that I was right about David Beckham. I'm just saying.
Half right.
I'll take it. So, but yeah, fantastic that,
Which I did agree with you, though, on that half part.
Yeah, and I think that he was a great person to ask that question and to really preview these matches, because we're talking about a guy who played these teams this year. He was on the pitch with them at one point or another this year. So what a better perspective to have than somebody who's actually played against these teams and these coaches and talk about it. So, Mike.
No, I agree. Yeah, we got a lot of good insight on the games for sure.
Absolutely, Rob. How about you? Some closing thoughts on Steven's interview?
Yeah, he was fantastic as always that he's been on, and
30 seconds
I think that's
remaining.
the third time.
I don't know what that is, but
nothing on my end.
Nothing on my end.
Maybe it was something to do with you called Steven. Did you ever hang up on his call waiting?
Yeah, no, according to this, I did. So
okay, that's what it sounded like. It was them saying finally the message has come to an end.
Yep, well, maybe that was the case. So, yeah. So let's you know what, Mike? While we're since we're on the MLS page, are you able to give us final standings?
Your recording has reached maximum.
I don't think we need to go
If you're
through the final
satisfied with your
standings.
message, press
you know
1.
what, let me
To
disconnect
listen to
this
your
and
message,
reconnect.
I don't
press
really.
2.
I'm not.
So what we're doing right now is we're just reconnecting our call, as we've had a little bit of an issue with Skype here. So, yep. So Rob, you're back, and we'll make sure we get Mike back as well here in a moment. So Mike will make sure
Hello?
you're back as well. Good. All right. We had a little bit of trouble with Skype there, so wanted to make sure that we kind of clean things back up. So.
All right, and I was just saying I'm not giving a final table. If you didn't make the MLS playoffs out of the 60% of the teams that did, you don't deserve another mention on Low Limit Football until next year.
How about goal scorers? Will you go there?
I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah,
I'm here.
I mean, will you go there with the goal scorers and mention at least those guys?
Oh, the goal scorers? I can do that for us, no problem. We know who the leading goal scorer is on the fact that he wins it on the assists are what the tiebreaker was. So it's Giovinco with the Golden Boot, tied with Kai Kamara. Robbie Keane on 20 goals is in third. David Villa, 19 goals in fourth. And Rookie of the Year, who we predicted to be Rookie of the Year anyways, Carl Aaron. And Bradley Wright Phillips on 17. And quickly, the rest of the top 10 is Chris Wondolowski and Fernando Adi, both on 16 and 7th. 9th, Obafemi Martins from Seattle on 15th and 10th. U.S. men's national team member and Toronto FC player Josie Altidore on 13.
Okay. And our match of the week for this week was the, let's take a look here quickly, I believe.
It was Columbus and D.C., or no, who did Columbus play? Yes, and DC, and I had it at a draw because that draw and a Toronto win would have given Toronto second, but of course, Columbus blew them out 5-0.
Yeah, and that was amazing. It was, I caught bits and pieces of that as that was one of the matches that they had previewed on television. DC didn't even look like they wanted to put up a fight, let alone put up one. I mean,
That's why I have a really hard time thinking they're going to be able to turn it around in the knockout game.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to point out with Steven was the fact that in this particular game, even though you are playing at DC, New England spreads it out. They spread the wealth among 4 or 5 guys. All of them can score on you at any given moment. And one other guy that I didn't mention is Teal Bunbury. He didn't even come up on my list of players. And he's always a guy that can be pretty deadly as well. So,
he's another guy I bet wishes he would have taken his Canadian calling at one point.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I think you're right. I mean, this is the kind of matchup. This is the 4-5 matchup. Well, I mean, even the other 4-5 matchup, which is the LA Galaxy Seattle Sounders, that wouldn't surprise me either way as well. But really tight matchups. For those particular ones, and that's the way it should be. So
now, will you stay up to watch the late games, Joe?
I'm going to do my best. Unfortunately, getting to work early in the morning the next morning is a little tough when you've got a 10.
But the one good thing about soccer is you do know that it's 90 minutes, so it's not like some sports. You know what I mean? That it goes 12 innings, 13 innings.
Well, we throw that rule out the window here now because it's a one-match elimination. So. We go 30 extra minutes and we go penalties after. So
yeah, So 2 hours maximum. It's pretty much over.
Normally, that's right. So, but we're gonna what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave the MLS alone because when we come back next Monday, we're gonna talk about the second leg of the matches against Dallas, Vancouver, New York, and Columbus, respectively. We'll talk about who won these particular matches and where we're moving from there because we'll have already played the first of the 2-legged matches there. So, but that'll do our MLS coverage for now. Rob, I'm going to give it over to you to give us La Liga, and like I said, we've moved MLS to the beginning of the show, I guess. So let's head it over to Europe.
That's right. Let's go to Spain. And over the weekend, we had our match of the week. It was, just give me 1 second. It was Celta Vigo versus Real Madrid. We predicted a 2-2 draw. The result was 3-1 to Real Madrid. Goals coming from, just give me 1 second. Goals coming from Cristiano Ronaldo in the 8th minute, Danilo in the 23rd minute. Nolito made it cut it down to 1 in the 85th minute, but Marcelo scored it to make it 3-1 in the last minute of the match to give all 3 points to Real Madrid. As they currently sit top of the table with 21 points, Barcelona, who won their match against Eibar over the weekend, another performance for one of the attacking trio. 3 goals from Luis Suarez over the weekend, repeating what Neymar did last weekend against Rayo Vallecano. So at the moment, with the Celta Vigo loss, who've lost their first game of the season, Real Madrid and Barcelona are neck and neck, 21 points and only 10 goals separate them in the goal differential for first and second. In third, we have Atletico Madrid in 19th, in fourth, Celta with 18 points, in fifth, Villarreal with 17, in sixth, Deportivo La Coruña with 13, tied with Eibar for that last European spot. Rounding off the relegation zone, we have Las Palmas, Levante, and Granada all with 6. Top goal scorers, Neymar with 8. Surprise, surprise. Cristiano Ronaldo with 7. Alvarez with 7. Nolito with 7. And Luis Suarez with 7. Isn't it a bit surprising how you don't see Lionel Messi in the top 10?
Well, he's missed a few games.
Yeah, exactly. But you would have thought that maybe he would have gotten a few goals up to his league to still be on that top table.
Do you think this hurts him for Ballon d'Or?
No.
No,
not at all.
All right.
I just want to add that for Debbie that's listening, that I predicted 2-2. So Real Madrid's her team. I predicted the draw, and I just don't want her mad at me.
Yep. No, and she gave you a little grief about that, if I remember last week.
Oh, okay, well, I thought she was giving me grief for the other. Okay, well, anyway, so I guess she is mad at me then. I guess I should have taken Real Madrid to win, but I predicted a draw.
Yeah, there's always this week, right?
Yeah.
So, all right.
And that is La Liga.
All right, so let's move it over to Ligue 1, where our match of the week was PSG Saint Etienne. We had predicted or at least I had predicted a 2-1 PSG victory over Saint Etienne. Right winner, wrong score. I got this one. It was 4-1 PSG over Saint Etienne. We had Levin Kurzawa with his first goal of the season in the 23rd minute, followed by Edison Cavani in the 48th on a nice assist from Ibrahimovic. And then Ibrahimovic gets the favor returned from Cavani in the 67th minute to make it 3 goals. We have Marco Verratti own goal in the 74th to make it 3-1. And Lucas adding another one in the 87th minute to make it 4-1 in this particular match. Shots on this one, shots on goal, were 13-6 in favor of PSG. PSG also possessing the ball 65% of the match. So dominant win for the Parisians there, and it just goes to show you how they're doing in the particular league. They're currently perfect. I'm sorry, not perfect. Sorry about that. 9 wins, 2 draws, leading the table on 29 points. Angers still in second on 22. Caen in third on 21. Lyon rounding out the European position on 19 points, tied with Saint Etienne on points, but ahead on goal differential. Currently in the relegation zone, we're looking at Troyes, Gazalec Ajaccio, and Toulouse, the last spot on 8 points, tied with Montpellier, but in the relegation zone based on goal differential. So our top goal scorers in Ligue 1 at the moment, Batshuayi at Marseille with 8 goals, and we have a slew of people at 7, including Hatem Ben Arfa, Edison Cavani, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We have Braithwaite at Toulouse on 5 goals, and Mukanjo at Lorient on 5 goals as well. So match of the week coming up in later on in the show, and I'm going to send it over to you, Mike, for our EPL coverage.
All right, and in a very drab, boring match of the week, it was Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0. A good game for those who suffer from insomnia. Ball possession was 59% for Manchester United, 41% to City. 6 shots attempted by both teams, and both had 1 on target. Just not a lot to say about this game. It was boring.
This is a match. It was played during my own personal match, and I said to myself, "Geez, I'll record it. Don't spoil it for me." And then I put the radio on to listen to Southampton. Was it Southampton Liverpool? I think. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my way home, and it looked like the match had started. I turned the radio on just to hear them say, "And City and United play to a 0-0 draw." Thanks, TalkSport. So
I thanked them for saving you 90 minutes.
Yeah, because that's what they ended up doing. Yeah, because that's what they ended up doing. It was like, I tweeted to you. I went and looked at the stats, and I'm like, there were only 3 shots on goal. I'm like, is this even worth watching? At that point, there's like.
Well, actually, the stats I have, I don't have official. I just have a website. It's only 2 shots on goal.
Oh, it's even better.
Yeah, 1 each.
Yeah, so I promptly deleted it off my DVR and decided to move on. So the wear time derby was a little better that day, earlier in the day.
Much better, Sam. Big Sam.
Yeah, Big Sam, rolling with Sunderland. and really
He's
taking
a
it to
good
Newcastle.
coach on teams like that. He'll save them.
Yep. So and that bodes well for guys like DeAndre Yedlin, who I believe played the full 90 in that match.
Yeah, if Sam believes in him, he's going to be playing.
Yep. So that's a good sign for the young American over there. So, Mike, I'm sorry to hijack your segment.
All right, and I'll just go leave that game since there wasn't much to really discuss in it, and go right to the table where Manchester City remains at the top with 22 points. Arsenal in second on goal difference, also on 22 points. West Ham United is in third place on 20 points ahead of Manchester United, who is in fourth, also on 20 points, but behind on goal difference. And rounding out the top five in the Premier League right now is Leicester City on 19 points in fifth. The bottom five in the Premier League looks like this. It's Norwich City in 16th on 9 points. Bournemouth in 17th on 8 points. And in the relegation zone right now, it is Sunderland with new manager Sam Allardyce and a win under their belt at the weekend on 6 points. Also in relegation in 19th, also on 6 points, is Newcastle, behind again on goal difference. And sure to be relegated this season, Aston Villa. Actually, that's where Big Sam is, sorry. Right?
No, Big Sam's in Sunderland.
Big Sam, right, that's what I just said. Well, who's Aston Villa got in?
Nobody yet. They just sacked Sherwood. So
right, but nobody's in yet. And I still think, unless they're bringing in God himself, they're going to be relegated this season. They're in 20th on 4 points. Okay. But I really like Big Sam in Sunderland and think that he can definitely keep them up this season.
Absolutely. He's got a way to work magic, so we'll have to see how he does. Rob, over to you for Germany.
Yep.
Oh, can I just quickly give the goal scorers?
Yes, please.
Sorry. In first, on 10 goals is Jamie Vardy of Leicester City. And in second, it's Aguero, Sanchez, and Wijnaldum on 6. And I'll just quickly give a couple of the top, the ones in fifth. It's Oliver Giroud, Mahrez, Dimitri Payet, Romelu Lukaku, and Graziano Pelle, among others, all on 5 goals and tied for fifth in the Premier League at this time. And that's the Premier League, Joe.
All right. Rob, your action.
All right, let's go to the Bundesliga. In our match of the week for the Bundesliga, we had Borussia Mönchengladbach against Schalke. We predicted a 2-1 victory for Schalke. We got the reverse score, a different result. Borussia Mönchengladbach 3, Schalke 1. So, give me 1 second to load who scored the goals. The goals came from Lars Stindl, Raphael, and Julian Korb. And the lone goal came from an own goal from Andreas Christensen of Mönchengladbach. So at the moment, as the league stands, Bayern still in first with 30, with a huge gap, 7 points behind their rivals, Borussia Dortmund, who's in second. In third, Schalke in 19th. Wolfsburg in 18th. Wolfsburg with 18 points in fourth. In fifth, Hertha Berlin with 17 points. In sixth, Bayer Leverkusen with 17. Running up the relegation playoff spot is Stuttgart with 7, and Hoffenheim and Augsburg both in the relegation zone with 6 to 5 points. Also, Hoffenheim has sacked their manager. I forgot his name again.
We just had it 2 seconds ago. I can't remember it either.
When you went back and sorry, Rob, when you went back and looked, did anybody have that one?
No one did.
Okay,
not yet.
So that's new. And his name was again? It got
Marcus Gisbol.
There you go.
And the replacement will be a guy named Hub Stevens, the former coach of Stuttgart.
Okay.
His name rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll do it in Germany. So let's head over to Italy, where our match of the week in the Serie A was Fiorentina-Roma. We had predicted or at least I predicted a Fiorentina victory 3-2. Got this one wrong. It was Roma 2, Fiorentina 1. Mohamed Salah in the 7th minute and Gervinho in the 34th minute on a nice little break. And Babacar scoring a consolation goal for Fiorentina in stoppage time. Mohamed Salah picking up a red card in this one, picking up a double yellow in the 87th minute. Babacar again in the 90th in injury time at the end of the match to give him the consolation goal. So this Italian race for the title, although it is very young, is certainly still quite constricted at the top. We have 5 teams within 2 points of first place. So currently first place Roma on 20 points. Then the other 4 teams, Napoli, Fiorentina, Inter, and Lazio on 18 points. Sassuolo just outside the European positions on 15 points. Notice we didn't mention Juventus, but they are starting to creep back into it a little bit. They're currently on 12 points, 1 point behind AC Milan for 10th. So the relegation zone looks like Carpi, Verona, and Bologna all in the relegation zone at the moment. Frosinone just 1 point outside of it on 7 points. Looking at the top goal scorers in the young Serie A season, Eder at Sampdoria still leading the way on 7 goals. Gonzalo Higuain has joined him at the top of the table at 7 as well. Lorenzo Insigne with 6 goals at Napoli. Carlos Bacca on 5 goals with Kalinčić and Salah. And Anderson, Baselli, Dybala, Gervinho, Muriel, and Paloski all on 4 goals, as well as Miralem Pjanic and Fabio Quagliarella. So that is your top 14 goal scorers in Italy at the moment, and still going to be an intriguing race all the way to the very end of the season. So, gentlemen, that'll cover...
Joe,
yes.
I just want to mention to any of our listeners who are still here, I don't know if anyone was listening yesterday, but can we mention the 16-year-old goalkeeper that played for Milan?
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about that quickly. I can't remember. I'd have to look up his name. I closed up my my guide here for the for Italy, but he is the youngest player to ever start a match for AC Milan.
Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Donnarumma, that's right. Younger, I think it was just by days, but younger than the great Paolo Maldini.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Maldini made his debut at 16 as well. I'm not sure of the days, but you have to realize it was a few days.
I think it was about 25 or 30 days. I can't remember the exact number. I did hear it once, I believe, on beIN Sport. But
let's hope that Gianluigi name is the perfect replacement for Buffon.
You never know. I mean, that could definitely be the case. It's certainly difficult to put a lot of pressure on a kid at 16 years old, but to think that you're playing for arguably one of the biggest clubs in world football at AC Milan, and setting the record for them, being the youngest starter to ever start a match for them, it boggles the mind. It's amazing to think that can happen in this day and age. But certainly, Donnarumma, had himself a nice little start. I didn't look at the statistics on this match particularly. I did see the 1 goal he did give up. He really had no shot at it. Sassuolo only having 2 shots on goal in this one. So, stopping 1 out of 2, what can you say? I mean, it's not like the AC Milan defense has really been lock solid all season. Just looking at them so far here, they've given up 15 goals in 9 matches. So, it's not like they're playing lights out defense there. Inter's leading the way right now with 7 goals against so far in the season. Second place has been Juventus with 8 goals. They've only conceded 8 goals in the season. So certainly one of the more porous Italian defenses in the league, and he's still there picking up his first victory as a 16-year-old. So nothing short of amazing. We'll have to keep a close eye on him and see where he ends up, I would say, in the next 3 or 4 years, to see if he slots in as that number 1 goalkeeper for AC Milan, or if it's just a flash in the pan. So, it's certainly an interesting thing to see from there. So, with that, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else in Europe, Rob, that caught your eye this week, or Mike, if you saw anything else that caught your eye as well.
I don't think I have anything else, no.
Fair enough. Let's. I'm going to just run through the Champions League tables real quick, because we are halfway through qualifying, and we pick up the second half next week. Looking at Group A, Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain leading the way on 7 points each. They play the reverse fixture coming up next week. In Group B, we have Wolfsburg in first place. Man United and Moscow tied for second on 4 points each. Atletico Madrid and Benfica lead the way in Group C, with Galatasaray hot on their heels on 4 points. Group D, Juventus currently leading the way on 7 points. A victory at Mönchengladbach and a Manchester City victory over Sevilla would qualify Juventus for the next round. Group E, Barcelona 7 points. Bayer Leverkusen behind them on 4 points as well. In Group F, Bayern Munich suffering their first loss to Arsenal last week, currently on 6 points, tied with Olympiacos, Arsenal and Zagreb on 3 points apiece. Group G, Porto leading the way on 7 points, Dinamo Kiev on 5, and then Chelsea's in third place, struggling all over Europe, not just domestically. And Group H, we have Zenit St. Petersburg, I believe is the only perfect team in Champions League play at the moment. They're on 9 points, Valencia on 6 points, and then Ghent and Lyon on 1 point each. So next week, the Champions League will return to to our television sets, and we'll have some matches of the week for you for next week to keep an eye on the reverse fixtures. So, in the Europa League, just rather quickly, I'll scan through it. I believe our match of the week in the Europa last week was, let me just go take a look at it here quickly. It was the Michelin-Napoli matchup. I predicted 3-0. Rob had predicted 3-1. And the particular result of this match...
And Mike doesn't predict because he doesn't believe in the Europa League.
That's correct. I was leaving that out, but if you wanted to add it, that's fine. Napoli winning that one 4-1. Certainly handily doing it. Goals by Callejon, Gabbiadini with a brace, and Higuain in that one. Statistically, they were absolutely dominant. 61% of the possession. Shots were 15-11, 8-5 shots on goal. So certainly running away with it and hiding. So we'll definitely see them moving forward in the group stages. So next week we'll have matches as well for the Europa League coverage as well. CONCACAF Champions League was also solidified. We had our match of the week was Santos Laguna versus Saprissa. I had predicted a Santos win. Rob predicted a Santos win. Mike, you went Saprissa on us. And,
yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was a bad move on your part because it was, I believe I don't have the final score loaded. I think it was 4-0 or 5-0.
I think it was 5.
Yeah, I think it was 5. You stop watching after like 4 goals. I expected a lot more out of that Saprissa side, Mike. I honestly, obviously I predicted a 2-1 victory for Santos, but I thought you were certainly within the realm of reason to go 2-1 Saprissa there. Would not have shocked me. But they just did not show up. So now we're looking at a CONCACAF Champions League, which is going to pick back up in February. And we've got it's kind of the perfect storm, guys, don't you think? We have 4 U.S. teams. We have 4 Mexican sides for the final 8, and the group's laid out perfectly so that we have 4 versus 4. We have, I'm just going to my matchups here quickly. We have Tigres versus Real Salt Lake. We have Querétaro versus DC United. LA Galaxy, Santos Laguna, and Seattle Sounders will play Club America. First legs of that particular competition are February 23rd through the 25th. So, it's going to be great. Do you think we'll see all 4 teams from one country go through here on one side, or do you think we'll have a nice little splash of, American and Mexican sides? Rob, I'll go to you first with that.
I think we're going to have a nice splash of American and Mexican sides, to be honest.
I think it broke bad for the U.S. in terms of who's playing those teams. Sounders are starting to come back into form, but they're going to get the number 1 team in Mexico and Club America. Galaxy are playing pretty well, but they end up getting a Santos team that that is also playing very, very well. Salt Lake is going to have a tough time with Tigres, although they're not. Tigres has really suffered the wear and tear of playing in the Copa Libertadores. Now they're playing in the CONCACAF Champions League. They've also got Mexican League action, so they've had a little bit of a rough run. So we'll have to see. And I think the DC United Querétaro match is going to be kind of the wild card for me to see what happens there. So, again, we'll pick up that coverage again sometime in late February, and we'll get into those matches a little bit closer as we move on. So, gentlemen, with our league coverage out of the way, let's go to our week ahead and start previewing some matches. Rob, I'm going to send it to you for La Liga.
Yeah, in La Liga we have a tasty one. And that is Atletico Madrid versus Deportivo La Coruña on Friday. And if you just give me 1 second, because I accidentally closed my the standing. But yeah, as it stands, Atletico Madrid is currently in third with 19 points, with Deportivo La Coruña in 6th with 13 points. So a win for them would be humongous for them, for Deportivo La Coruña to maintain momentum. But I think this Atletico Madrid side have enough to beat them. I'm going to say 3-1.
3-1 Atletico. Okay, let's get that in the books here, and then let's move over to France, where our match of the week is Sunday at 11 a.m. It is Monaco, who is currently 8th in the league, versus Angers, who is currently 2nd in the league. And the particulars in this match, as I'm calling them up myself, with these two teams, Monaco is currently on a run of form where they are 2 wins and 3 draws. Angers currently on a better run of form with 3 wins and 2 draws in this one. Most recently, these teams haven't faced each other since March 15th of 2013, which was a 2-2 draw. And going with that history, I'm going to actually take the same exact result. I'm going to go a 2-2 draw in this one in Monaco on Sunday. So to Mike and the EPL matchup that you want to tell us about?
Well, I'm not going to give the score until Friday, but I can tell you that it is the early game on Saturday, 8:45. I guess it's the time change that's making it at 8:45, right?
Yes.
Clocks went back in England this weekend.
Yep.
Correct,
Yep.
and we go back next week. Yep.
Right, okay. So 8:45 on Sunday, Chelsea versus Liverpool at the Stamford Bridge. Like I said, I'll run the simulator and see what it comes up with. But
Let me ask you this.
Both teams aren't great at the moment.
Let me ask you this, guys.
Yep.
If Mourinho loses this match, is he done?
Not yet. They've
Mike?
got too much money invested in him to to be going to be getting rid of him that soon. So not yet, but I think he gets thinner and thinner and thinner. The better question is can Jurgen Klopp win a match? First 3 matches, 3 draws. So is this where Jurgen Klopp gets his first victory in England?
Yes.
So you really think Mourinho's in trouble?
If Klopp beats Mourinho, I think the pressure is going to be much more on it. And if they continue to fail in the next few matches and in Europe, then I think he's done. I think he's done by December.
What time is the flight leave from Munich to London? I have to check the flight schedules there on that one. So
for Sunday?
For Sunday. I know.
If Mr. Guardiola is willing to go the other way.
Yeah, that's
Bayern Munich has to let him go, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening during the season.
You never know. Roman Abramovich might just buy Bayern Munich at that point, right? You tried to do.
I think he'd to make up with Ancelotti and bring him in.
And to Chelsea.
Yeah, if they were going to make a change.
Interesting. That is a very, very interesting choice.
I did hear from Ralph Hottenstein that his gut feeling is that Guardiola will leave this season.
He's been
at the end of the season, though, not during.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying Ancelotti's a good guy to bring in that because that's the kind of coach he is. He can improve a team that's good on paper that's not doing well. For sure, he can do that. Yeah. He deals well with talent.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, moving over to to the Bundesliga.
Yes, in the Bundesliga we have Borussia Mönchengladbach. We have Hertha Berlin versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. It's a match between 5th and 7th. Borussia Mönchengladbach with 15 points, Hertha Berlin with 17 points in 5th place. Definitely a big win for them. Definitely a must-win for both teams. But looking at how good the form is Borussia Mönchengladbach has been having, they've only lost 1 of their last 6. So I think they're going in. I think all is going into favor for Borussia Mönchengladbach. I think it's going to be a tight score, but they have the advantage. 1-0.
1-0 Gladbach. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and Rob, you got a lot of road team victories this week. You got Atletico on the road winning. You've got Gladbach on the road winning, and Gladbach is actually starting to play much, much better since the way they opened the season. So, they're a little bit of a scary side. We'll have to see what happens there. Heading over to Italy, I think probably the tastiest match of the week in all our leagues. Inter Roma. Here's 2 sides. Inter was leading the way for so long. Roma now in first place in the league. We have, and just gonna kind of look at my my information here quickly. Roma on their recent run of form is 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. But it's really been Inter who's faltered. 3 draws, a win, and 1 loss in their last 5 as well, including a loss to in a meaningless competition against Chiasso. That I think is the Italian Cup, losing that one 3-1. So. Looking at this one, Roma's on a great run of form right now. The last time these two teams met was back in April, which was a Inter victory 2-1. Prior to that last season, Roma on this particular fixture, let me just take a look here. I'm sorry, that was this particular fixture was April where Inter won 2-1. Previously in Rome, Roma beat them 4-2. That was back in November of last year. So looking at this particular fixture, Roma's on such high form right now. I'm going to take Roma over Inter in this one. I'm going to take this 3-1. I know a lot's been made about Mauro Icardi possibly, having to get himself up and running. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I think Roma is really flying high right now, and we'll take Roma to win. Mike, I know which. You're asking the question in the chat. There are personal chat.
Speaking of Mauro Icardi, can you believe it? He's still not in the Argentina squad.
No, and he's not playing that well. He's comparatively.
Well, Higuain compared to Higuain.
No, yeah, compared to Higuain. Well, compared to Higuain, Higuain's playing lights out, but Higuain always has an issue with with performing on the international level. So we'll have to see if. When we get to these next rounds of World Cup qualifiers for Argentina, how he performs there, because you still won't have, like you had said in our chat, Roberto Pereira is out until December with a hamstring injury. They'll still have no Lionel Messi. They'll still have no Kun Aguero. So, a lot of pressure is going to be put on the guys like Angel Di Maria, on Gonzalo Higuain, even guys like Ezekiel Lavezzi, and you'll probably see Paulo Dybala get in there now as he's starting to improve his form for Juventus. We'll have to see how where he ends up with as well. So now, Rob, I know you're simulating some of the MLS playoff matches. Can you give us some of the results?
Well, why don't we get our predictions for these games? We never gave them for the 4 games.
Oh, okay, yeah, nope, that's a good idea. Let's go. I mean, are we going to give scores, or are we just going to give winners?
Doesn't matter. Just skip the winner.
Okay, so let's start with the first matchup, which is the DC New England matchup, which is the first match, 7:30 on Wednesday. DC's 4th, New England is 5th in the Eastern Conference. I'm personally going to take New England in this one. I think they do have what it takes, and like we talked about with Steven earlier, I don't see DC, especially with the woeful form that they showed against Columbus over the weekend. I don't know if they have enough to actually be able to turn it back on and go. So I'm going to take New England to beat DC and move on. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm taking New England.
All right, and Rob?
DC 2-1.
And DC 2-1. So Rob is going to go with DC.
Simulator.
So the next one is the Toronto FC Montreal Impact match, which is in Montreal. And this is the 4-5 match. I'm sorry, this is the 3-6 match. TFC finishing 6th, Montreal finishing 3rd, and really closing out strong. There's the gambling side of me that would like to hedge my bet and pick Montreal to win this one, but I'm sticking with my preseason prediction. I have to. I'm taking Toronto to win this one, and I'll throw a score on it. I'll throw a 3-2 score on it with 2 goals from Javinko. We'll go Michael Bradley with 1 and Drogba again with a brace. So, Mike, how about you?
I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to take Montreal 2-1.
2-1. All right. I'm actually not writing the scores down. I'm just writing down the winners.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Rob, how about you?
Well, the simulator says Montreal 2-1, as Mike previously mentioned, as the matches are finally over. Mm-hmm. But I'm going for Mike. We really want to see his side do well, especially in his first appearance in the Almost Cup playoffs. I'm going to reverse what the simulators say and say Toronto 2-1.
Toronto 2-1. All right, so let's go to the West Coast. And that match, by the way, is Thursday at 7 o'clock or 7:30. Let's go to the. I'm not sure which one is Wednesday at 10 o'clock. If it's the Portland one or the Seattle one, do you guys know offhand?
I'll check. Give me 1 second.
I closed my windows.
Yeah, I closed most of mine too. So
the match at 10 is Portland Sporting.
So Portland Sporting is Wednesday at 10 p.m.
No, Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
That's Seattle, LA at 10.
All right,
Wednesday.
so then Portland is Thursday. So Seattle, LA is Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And this one is being played in Seattle. Guys, I'm taking Seattle in this one. I think playing at CenturyLink Field is going to be way too tough for anybody to handle. Very, very loud crowd. I was kind of surprised that Steven said it was tougher to play in Portland. I would have expected him to say Seattle there, but I think I'm taking Seattle. The Galaxy have really stumbled a bit in the past couple weeks, and I think Seattle is really getting guys like Martins and Dempsey going, and I think they're going to be a little too much to overcome, and we'll see if this is the year for Siggy Schmidt. I'm taking Seattle.
It's tough to play in Portland, Joe, because they carry chainsaws there, man.
Well, only one guy does, and he tends to cut wood.
Oh, he looks pretty mean, though.
Yeah, he does look a little mean, I guess. Well,
Psycho.
If he runs out on the pitch, then I think, we should really worry about it. But, Mike, since you're there, Seattle, LA.
Seattle 3, Galaxy 1.
And Rob?
Goodbye, MLS Cup champions. We're going to have a new MLS Cup champion. I'm going Seattle 2-1.
Wow, this is the first match that the three of us have actually agreed on. I'd like to point out. So, and the last match, which is Thursday at 10 p.m., Portland, the number 3 seed versus Sporting KC, the 6 seed. Going back again to what Steven said, tough place. Mike, you've confirmed it with people with chainsaws. Makes it a little tough to play defense. I'm going to go Portland 3-1, so I'll take Portland to advance here. Mike, your action, Jackson.
Portland 1-0 in extra time.
In extra time. Wow, that's going to be, if that's the case, that is going to be the best match of the weekend. And Rob, how about you?
I'm going to be the contrarian. Sporting KC 1-0.
1-0. All right. So Rob, you've got the other side on 2 of these 3 games from me and Mike. And I've always got at least one guy siding with me. So maybe I'll get them all right. We'll have to see. So certainly a great weekend for MLS Cup action. And then we'll have our first rounds, which we can't really tell who's playing just yet, so we'll have to just talk about second-round matchups. So,
but we do know that New York gets the lowest seed once they're reseeded in the next round, and Columbus would get the second lowest seed, and FC Dallas will get the worst seed in the West, and then Vancouver will get the remaining team.
Okay, let me ask you this. Knowing the seedings right now and the teams that are in, I don't remember who else you guys picked to win MLS Cup this year. Obviously, I've been sticking by Toronto's side. Would you change your pick? And again, I don't remember who you guys picked at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure me and Rob actually both took Seattle.
I think we both chose Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember. And I might change mine.
You might change yours?
At this point, yeah.
Rob, how about you? Would you change yours?
I might as well. But
I'm not saying Seattle can't win. I'm just saying if you're giving us a choice to change, I might change mine.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
So the question begs. I mean, I would think about changing mine too, just based on the run of form. So, given what we have here, who would you change to, Mike? I'm going to go to you first. So I'm almost basically giving you another shot to pick the champion. So if you had to pick the champion, knowing what you know right now, who would you take?
The champion.
The champion.
I'm going to go with the dark horse and say the Columbus Crew are going to win it.
Interesting choice. Rob, how about you?
My local team, the team I've supported since birth, the Red Bull.
New York Red Bull. I don't know why, but in my belly, God, I'd have to pick one of the two. I have 2 teams that I would choose, and I know you can only pick one.
Well, in our case, we're picking 2.
Well, yeah, but I would be switching off of TFC.
We've already picked one.
So then at that point, I'd be picking 3. Which is completely not fair. Might as well make it like MLS and just pick the field. But I'm going to go Seattle. I'm going to go and take your guys' picks and go Seattle. I really think that the time off on Martins and Dempsey, now granted it was injury time off, probably did them well. They looked very, very fresh over the weekend. I would go Seattle. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great playoff, no matter what. No matter what teams we end up with there at the end, it's going to be a fantastic watch. So definitely excited to see that. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it back over to you to give us the trivia question again. I know Zach got it right according to what I saw in the chat. So
And Liam got it right too. He just answered now. So.
I didn't even see Liam come in. So better late than never. I'm glad you came, and thanks for listening. So go ahead and give us the trivia question.
All right. Let me go find. Okay, I am a non-European and signed for the same Premier League club on 4 different occasions. I have also played in 3 different countries in Europe and played a World Cup in my homeland. Who am I?
So, Rob, do you have a shot at it?
Yes, I do.
Who do you have?
Steven Pienaar.
And Joe?
I had Shinji Kagawa.
And Steven Pienaar is correct. He played for Ajax, Borussia Dortmund. From Dortmund, he got lent to Everton. On the loan, he signed with Everton. From Everton, he went to Tottenham. From Tottenham, he got loaned back to Everton and then signed with Everton.
Wow. And where's Pienaar from? I can't remember.
South Africa.
South Africa.
See, I knew I was on the right path. I knew it wasn't Brazilian, and I just couldn't think of anybody South African. I didn't realize he was from South Africa.
Oh, Kagawa.
Kagawa. I wasn't sure Kagawa would be old enough to having played in the 2002 World Cup.
He would have
Japan.
been
4.
No, he's not young.
13.
I was kidding.
Yeah, but still, 4 and 13, it really doesn't matter at that point. So I wasn't.
Well, unless he plays goalie for Inter Milan.
Yeah, he's still 3 years
AC
up.
Milan. Then
But
he can play
I don't, and I don't try to search ages and stuff like that. So that's why I went that route, and I couldn't think of anybody in South Africa. So, all right, with that in mind, gentlemen, let's hit the closing music. All right.
Oh, and Debbie is taking the Galaxy, of course, to win it all.
And of course, Debbie's taking the Galaxy. She's a Galaxy supporter, so I don't blame her.
One and done.
So for episode 95 of Low Limit Football, thanks again to Steven Caldwell for joining us. Next week we have Gary Hayes, who is the lead Bleacher Reports correspondent for Chelsea FC. I'm sure he's going to have plenty of Mourinho to talk about. So for episode 95 of Low Limit Football, I'm Joe Usello.
I'm Roberto Rojas.
And I'm Mike Orr.
Thanks again for listening, and good night.
Thanks for listening.
Good night.